Research is something that is taught and encouraged to us since middle school. I remember thinking back in 6th grade that the 2-page research paper I had to write on the Japanese internment camps was the worst thing ever because I had to cite my work, I had to provide references, and it was about history, something that I've never enjoyed. We're taught at a young age to develop hypotheses that challenge their beliefs and biases and work to discover what the truth is. But I think a big concept that some teachers forget to teach us, especially when we're younger, is that you have to research things that you're passionate about. Without that passion and personal interest in a topic, research will likely mean nothing to you. I really wasn't taught that until I got to Barton and teachers started asking me what was I interested in. And that was kind of revolutionary to me. I wasn't just being assigned to read and write about the same exact topic that everybody else in my class was asked to write about. Instead, I was given the freedom to choose a topic that had a personal interest and value to me. And as a student researcher, that helped me better understand what my purpose was going to be in my career. My first semester here, Dr. Foltz pushed me to assemble a photo essay of my caregiving experience with my grandparents into a book and presentation. To me, this really didn't seem like research because I was talking about and writing about my own experiences, but it was research. Yes, I was able to include my emotions and experience, but I also talked about the theories of aging, stages of grief, the signs and progression of Alzheimer's disease, and the value of caring for a loved one, all things that I had learned in class. I used this knowledge from class to connect my personal experience back to literature and was able to better understand the connection my experience had to the field of gerontology. I was only a freshman and I was presenting at conferences and even had a poster presentation here during Day of Scholarship. But before this experience, no one ever told me that research could be so personal. But I now had a new perspective on both research and what I wanted my future career to be. I did another paper my senior year for my honors research class with Dr. Bain about a social justice project that I felt passionate about. So I chose elder abuse. This project challenged me to think about possible interventions that could reduce abuse in nursing homes and determine the likelihood of being implemented successfully within these specific communities, pushing me to be creative and apply the knowledge I had learned over the past 4 years, but also allowing me to think ahead into my future and what I wanted to do. I did this project during my senior year when I was panicking about what I would do after graduating in May. I was really ready to work, as most of us are after 4 years of college, but I wasn't sure if the jobs that were available to me with my degree were really what I wanted to do. I felt like I wasn't done with my education yet, but from this single research project, I discovered within myself my passion to advocate for others and be a voice for those who can't advocate for themselves. I decided to apply to graduate school kind of on a whim, but became more and more excited about the opportunities I would have in my career with my master's degree. I wanted to help people, and I knew that this would be a path I would need to take to do that. I wasn't necessarily excited about the prospect of 2 more years of school, more homework, and more research projects, but I was excited about the idea of becoming an expert in an area that I was really passionate about. So since starting graduate school this August, I have done multiple research projects that were all directed toward my personal interests. I did a paper on Dame Cicely Saunders, who is the founder of the Hospice Initiative. I did a research project on spousal caregiving and social work interventions. And most recently, I've been working with another professor collaboratively on a paper about caregiving identity and burden. I was encouraged with each of these assignments to make it my own and find a topic that would be interesting but also beneficial to me in my career. Again, someone was taking an interest in my personal success and encouraging me to use research as a tool to further myself. To you, all these topics may seem boring or unimportant, and that's fine, because, like I said, research should be about what you are interested in and what you are passionate about. I was motivated, driven, and invested in all these projects because they did have a personal interest to me, and because the topic was something that I wanted to study. Having so much undergraduate research experience at Barton helped me to get this job as a research assistant and a teacher's assistant in graduate school, and has helped me be more confident and knowledgeable in my classes. It's helped further my success in more ways than I ever imagined, all because just a few teachers helped me understand what I've experienced and what I'm interested in has real value to the academic world. This isn't to say that that the only research I've ever done is on older adults, in gerontology because I do think it's important to have varied interests in areas of study, especially in your undergraduate career when you're trying to figure out what you want to do. I got to travel to the Dominican Republic with Ms. Rui and complete a research project and presentation on the healthcare system in these impoverished communities. I got to experience another culture because of this project and see things I never would have otherwise. I wrote a 20-page paper for Dr. Lane's capstone class on human trafficking, a topic I never thought I would be interested in, but that class opened my eyes to so many things, such as poverty, exploitation, crime, and human rights, all topics that relate back to social work and what I'm doing now. Dr. Bain's research class helped me push me to uncover some of Wilson's history and some family connections I had in the Hackney Brothers Company that I never would have otherwise known. And even a seminar class I chose at random on mental illness has helped me in my internship this semester in a behavioral health unit. All these diverse and somewhat unrelated topics that were of interest to me in different areas have helped me make myself become a more diverse learner and help me be more knowledgeable and well-rounded in my professional career. So if you take anything away from what I've said today, I hope you begin to take advantage of some of the opportunities that you're presented here at Barton. Find things that you're passionate about. Find a mentor who's interested in you and wants to help you, and make that research personal to you. It's easy to take shortcuts and research topics that you're really familiar with, but aren't necessarily interested in. But I really challenge you to go the extra mile and make research personal, because you never know how that knowledge and experience may impact you later in your education and career. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. First, let me start by saying thank you for coming today. Just like Dr. Dane said, no matter your reason for being here this morning, thank you for taking the time. I do hope you learned something new, something different, or hear a new perspective. Jared did a good job. I want to provide some more background on my research and my time here at Barton. I was a mass communications major with a concentration in public relations. And as most seniors do, I had the what am I going to do with my life meltdown about halfway through senior year. But about that time, I decided I did want to go the path of higher education, go a little bit different than what my major was. I was deciding between grad school or going directly into working. With this, I also knew I had to do this research project, both for the honors program as well as for my major. So similar to Anna, I decided to blend my interest and come up with a research project that blended both my major as well as my interest in higher education. I did my research focus on housing options for Barton students. To be completely honest, I did not want to do this research project. I just saw this as something else I had to do. It was a check mark towards graduation. Really, I thought research was in a lab with science majors doing experiments. You only do research if you want to boost your resume for grad school, which is a great reason. But I didn't want to go to grad school at the time. And so I thought, I need to do this, so let's figure out a good way to make this enjoyable. So I quickly changed my attitude, which is, again, why I chose the project on mixing my interest and my love for Barton as well. I wanted to find a way to give back to this school that had given me so much and that I enjoyed so much. I was inspired to do the topic of housing because of my own housing experience at the Holloway House. For those of you that don't know, the Holloway House was a gift to the college by a former professor and archivist, Dr. Holloway, and in the fall of 2010 became a housing options for students, and I was one of the first students to live there for my junior and senior years. I enjoyed living in a house, having the added responsibility of living there instead of a residence hall, so I started to think, how can other students continue living on campus, but maybe without the traditional residence hall style? I decided to look at styles of living learning communities, houses, changes to our current residence halls. I interviewed various people within Barton to start my research. I asked lots of questions. I then sent a survey to students asking, what do you want? Why did you stay on campus? Why did you move off campus? What would you like to see on campus? I found the survey results to be pretty interesting. I'll share a couple of them with you. 95% of students surveyed who had currently lived on campus said the benefit to living on campus was the convenience to class. We say this in admissions all the time. You can roll out of bed, walk to class in less than 5 minutes, easy peasy. A little over half the students also said that a benefit was the convenience to campus activities as well as laundry facilities. thought that was interesting. The top 3 benefits of the people surveyed who had currently lived off campus said the reasons they lived off campus was the cheaper cost, personal space, and the ability to cook. So I used this data, along with other findings from the survey and outside research as well, to make suggestions to give to Barton staff, including vice presidents for student affairs and finance, office of residence life, and anyone else interested in that data. I created a suggested advertising campaign to encourage students to stay living on campus, using convenience as that theme. And I also made recommendations to provide affordable living that was more private for students and maybe offered cooking facilities. Since then, this is not all attributed to my research at all, but since then they have renovated Hackney, they've added some other housing options, so things did come out of it and there have been changes, which I was excited to see when I came back this year. So fast forward, I'll fill you in what I did since that research. I did end up going to grad school for higher education. Although I did not continue this research topic while in grad school, it did help me to have conducted research and did help me to conduct research within the field I was later on studying. To me, the biggest takeaway for the particular higher ed part was putting students first. It's important to listen to the student need before taking a large investment. I carried this mentality out into my coursework as I continued. I started working here at Barton this past summer as campus guest coordinator in the admissions office, which means I organize the events and visits for prospective students to come on campus. Now, as I mentioned, I really did not want to do this project originally, but looking back, I did learn so much, but I learned so much more than just the answers to my research questions. So I want to talk a little bit about what I learned there. So students, my first piece of advice is just keep an open mind with what you're working on. So one of the first things that I learned is to make or fit your interest into what you have to do, and you'll become more passionate about that topic. I started to realize I didn't want to go the traditional route of a public relations firm. This was part of my senior year meltdown. And I knew that the projects I was doing had to reflect the classes I was doing with my major. So how can I make something I have to do into something I want to do? This is the blending of my interest in public relations and my interest in higher education, and found a way to impact Barton in the end. So find that small interest or passion, blend it with your requirements. This will make you more excited for something you're required to do. Now, I really didn't see it at the time, but this research and my experience within public relations directly impacts the job that I'm doing now. So I'm very grateful that I did blend them, and it's continued blending as I continue growing in my profession. One of the best things I learned is the importance of collaborating and using those around you. I learned a lot of initial pieces and conversations about my topic before I started just from those conversations. For example, one friend said that she wanted to move off campus because she wanted a pet. So that helped shape some of the questions. Another friend said her parents wanted her to stay on campus all 4 years. That was their expectation. Another friend, who's an international student, said he wanted to move off campus because he didn't like moving out each summer and didn't know what he wanted to do with his things. Everyone has a different perspective. It helped me shape my survey to seeing those perspectives before conducting the research. As I mentioned, I created the survey to send to Barton students, and I had learned some basic how-tos, how to make surveys in some of my public relations classes, and then later I took a research class in grad school. But I learned more from talking with Dr. Fagley about my rough draft of a survey before I sent it out to students. She sat down with me, explained which were the good questions on a survey, how to make my questions stronger, what's the best order for a survey. I never really thought about the importance of an order of a survey. And actually getting the answers that I wanted to questions, what was the point of a question? Are you actually asking for a certain answer, or was it fluff? Really making that survey strong and exactly what you needed it to be. These are skills that I now use in my job creating surveys for experience evaluations for an event. Someone also told me a few alumni work in the area in the real estate industry, so I picked their brain on did they think it was a good idea for students to move off campus? How was it working with college students when renting to them? Just getting their perspective of an outside view of higher ed was a really interesting piece to add to the survey and just the research in general. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't asked the questions around here. I went to Jared and other professionals who had worked or went to other schools to see how do other schools do some of the housing options. I spoke with the CFO at the time to see, is this worth my time doing? Is it financially make sense? Could this be a possibility? I began seeing that everyone works together, everyone has a perspective, everyone has something to add. A project should never be working alone in a bubble. Always ask questions. Particularly for Barton, what I learned was even more special was that Barton faculty and staff truly care about the success of our students. You'll hear it over and over. I felt it as a student. They took the time to give me advice, to help shape my project, and they really didn't have to do that. Now that I work here at Barton, I see how much we have to fit into an 8-hour day, if you pretend like we work traditional 8-hour days. I see how much we have to fit into that 8-hour day. And at the end of the day, the most important part of those 8 hours is helping our students. Like I said, I felt that as a student. I see that now in my colleagues. So students know that you have us in your corner. You have us if you need any help in any part of your academic career. There's one last thing I want to talk about. I need to let you all know that I believe in survey karma. Okay? The dictionary.com definition of karma is the sum of your actions defines the fate of your future. So if you do good, good things will happen. Rachel's definition of survey karma is, if you take other people's surveys, they will take yours, okay? Help your classmates and take their surveys. I remember getting all those emails of, please take my survey, help me out. But I took every one of them because I wanted good survey karma when it came back around. So take those surveys. And to be honest, I believe this spreads into the real world of, your hotel experience, your food experience, your dining. Take those too. It helps us. I still believe in survey karma. I still take all of them because now in my job, I have to send out surveys. When I was asked to speak today, I was asked to talk about what my undergraduate research experience taught me. What my experience taught me. That's what it is. Not just to look at what my research taught me, but what the whole experience taught me. See what you can learn from each experience that you're in. At the University of Virginia, where I did my graduate studies, students are referred to as first year, second year, and so on, instead of freshman or sophomore. The founder of the university, Thomas Jefferson, believed that no student reaches a senior year or a final state of learning. So you are always learning, you are always growing. Remember that the Barton experience is about learning and growing inside the classroom as well as outside the classroom. So I will leave you with saying good luck in all and each of your experiences. Thank you.
So I want to start by telling you guys what an honor it is to be speaking with you today. And I also want to point something out that I found interesting last week as a TA and a veteran oral history project. When I asked the undergraduates at Duke whether they had a program to, like this, a day of scholarship or any type of program that helps them learn about proposals and review boards and whatnot, the actual answer was no, they didn't. I was highly surprised at Duke that they did not have a program in place like this. Let me encourage all of you, considering that this program, the Day of Scholarship, I haven't really found many places that offer it. So whether you're here participating or here for moral support for friends or families, I encourage all of you to venture in and out of as many sessions as possible. You never know whose presentation will give you your next idea or research project of yourself. So before I begin, to tell you why undergraduate research is important and some of the ways that it's helped me prepare for graduate school, first let me tell you about how I was tricked into this odd realm of research. No? Oh, nice. It's the same way I was tricked into going to graduate school. By the wonderful woman up here trying to get my presentation to work. And one more time. So when I first transferred to Barton College, an amazing instructor informed me about the events and Day of Scholarship here at Barton, and encouraged myself and Donovan Woods, another transfer student who also transferred from Johnston Community College with me, to submit a proposal to participate in today's festivities. And we left her office thinking that this was a natural occurrence at Barton, that many students put in submissions for today's festivities. We later found out that this was not the case. Today, I am so happy to have that opportunity. 3 years ago, when I was sitting where you're sitting now, trying to prepare myself to present the research about the issues that service members face while reintegrating back into their communities, I did not know the larger effect of what I had created or researched that it would have on my life. It was through Barton's Day of Scholarship research projects that Susan Fako, Donovan Woods, and myself took a group of 14 students to New York to my first national conference. The three of us presented our projects at the School of Visual Arts 29th National Conference. My research project would later turn into my senior exhibition. Yep, click in. And would grow later to become the thesis that I will defend next year. However, there were a few things that I did realize, not while sitting here, but after our presentations and we had a moment to breathe. I realized what I had accomplished and why undergraduate research is so important. I had gathered this vast amount of knowledge, and I was really excited about the statistics and the data, and I was passionate to share it with people. Most importantly, I gained an extended family that I could talk to about new projects and expanding ideas. For me, these are the three reasons and ways undergraduate research helped me further my journey. Knowledge. Conducting research can lead to higher cognitive thinking and expand your knowledge. William Perry formulated a theory of intellectual and ethical development of college students. Studies show that students who participate in discovery learning can reach higher tiers of this theory. It's also been shown to improve students' critical thinking and problem-solving abilities, which will help you throughout your life. While academic research obviously expands your knowledge, it does so on many levels that some may not realize. As you conduct this research, one begins to understand the broader and macro levels that surround your inquiry. Your research may lead you to learn about new cultures and societies. Some may also learn that the subjects you are studying now are all interconnected, as all branches of learning are just studies of the human condition. Amid gaining this new knowledge, you may also realize the gain becomes personal. It is no longer something that you just regurgitate for tests. It becomes a new passion that you can see in everyday life. At Duke, my cohort quickly realized my love for research as we often talk about the social and economic issues that face our society today. And there have been quite a few times that I'll bring up studies or articles that I've read that relate to our discussion. I've also surprised a few instructors. Coming from an art background, many are surprised when I also cite studies and articles of psychology, sociology, medical trials, and so on. You see, once you realize that these studies are all intersectional, there is no limit to what you find yourself looking at or studying. Passion. We know that when we work on things that are interesting to us, it does not seem like work. Go ahead. I know all of you know what I'm talking about. We've all had papers assigned to us that we have not been interested in the topic. We're writing away with the glazed over expressions, trying not to fall asleep, asking why me. Since entering this new odd realm of research, I have found a renewed passion of my learning. The journey has led me to new excitement about my environment around me and new levels of curiosity in academia. I find as I explore space or learning a new subject matter, I often find myself coming up with ways that it fits into my own work. Even the slightest phrase can turn a project, add a new direction, a new dimension, or form a new question. While at our first conference in New York, the psychology of how we think and visualize different medias was brought up. This one phrase alone made me reconsider my project. It's where I came up with the idea of animating some of the images that were not as strong in my photographic series. On our second trip last year, I realized yet another idea. The way of viewing these animations would become an interactive installation instead of just a projection. Though this idea did not come from the conference itself last year, it came in observing our surroundings while at the 9/11 memorial. At times I feel like a sponge just wanting to soak up everything. Everything I see, everything I learn, like as though through osmosis. Lastly, family. In the Masters of Art program at Duke, we sometimes speak of the extended family. To some in our field, the extended family is someone who participates in is a documentary professional that one can network with. My definition of an extended family is a little bit different. You see, in the Marine Corps and the police department, there was a great sense of brotherhood, family, and camaraderie. And when you lose this sense, many feel lost. On my transition into this new path of higher learning, I had lost that sense of camaraderie. I have felt that I was losing myself, and I felt that I was alone. When I began school, I excelled in my studies, and I was excited about many subjects and topics, but I never really felt that I fit into this world of academia. I also did not know what I wanted to focus on. I knew a general direction, but I had no idea what was going to come after graduate school. No one told me I needed a plan C, a backup plan for my backup plan. With my background, I'd never conducted research, so when Susan Faco challenged me to participate in today's Day of Scholarship as a junior, I did not expect that it would lead to expanding my extended family the way it did either. Going through the process, she mentored me on so many things, from the basics of setting up a survey, formatting a proposal, and what to do when you lack participants for a proper sample. These relationships that were cultivated from this experience are important in so many ways. In conducting the research that I have reconnected with many former comrades, gotten involved with other veteran artists and various groups. More importantly, I gained a new extended family. A family that I look up to as role models. They encourage, explain, and mentor me as I continue on this path of higher learning. Even though through my studies at Duke, I know I can reach out to my family here at Barton for another set of ears, another set of eyes, or perhaps just a different perspective. As I've journeyed beyond Barton College, I've also realized how the preparation of the Day of Scholarship has helped on numerous aspects of graduate school. Those proposals that you're just starting to learn to write now will help you while applying for scholarships, fellowships, and grants. Those institutional review boards will also not go away, and I'm sure will be of value to many of you in the future. Take time now, get involved in the process, expand your knowledge. As you gain new insight and understanding into different topics, it will be rewarding as you become your friends and family's new Google app. Find a new passion or develop a current one. Think about how that love that you have for that topic affects others and get involved in those groups. It will change your life. And lastly, make those connections. Your mentor now may become a great friend or an extended part of your family who may help you along your journey, not just academically, but through your life. Thank you.